What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I'm sure everyone's going to be covering this today, but I'm going to try to take a little bit of a different angle and bring you some of the newer information and reactions to what many of us already knew, and that is that Joe Biden apparently was an empty husk of a man dragged across the finish line by corrupt, power-hungry Democrats, including his wife. The whole thing is absolutely appalling, and quite frankly, probably no less than 24 people probably belong in prison, at least at minimum, for their treatment of an elderly man who, in my opinion, probably had very little knowledge of even what was going on. Now, again, it's hard for me to feel bad for Joe Biden, but the story really isn't, hey, Joe Biden is, a dementia riddled cancer patient. That's not really the story here. The story is that Democrats have allowed him to stay in power when he very clearly was incapable of it. That the Democrats were happy to use his auto pen for who knows how many years, and that his wife and all the doctors associated with his care seem to leave all of this stuff up to willingly hide all of this stuff from the American people, which is treasonous. It is absolutely some of the most appalling behavior that I've ever seen. People belong in prison at minimum over this. Now, will the Republicans finally grow a spine and go after any of these people? That remains to be seen. But we're going to have to take a look at some of the latest information here going on in this case. Let's go right to some of the morning coverage, okay? We're basically no doctor worth their salt other than apparently Dr. Jill Biden. No doctor seems to believe that this was just suddenly stage 4. Listen to this on MSNBC, America's top oncologist.
This is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you are saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, of course.
He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021.
He had it since the start of his presidency in 2021. Look, I mean, cancer will come for most people. The level, the scale of cover-up of this is rivaled only by sending what appears to be hostage type video of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel over the weekend, saying that we're all crazy and that Jeffrey really did take his own life. We'll talk about that later. But I mean, the corruption in our government, I think now is got to be reaching near legendary levels. I mean, you have a guy on MSNBC saying he had it the entire time he was president. There's no disagreement on that. Zeke, just a few years ago, was named to the prestigious 16-person COOF advisory board, handpicked by Biden himself. How many people covered this up? And Clint Russell put out a tweet that I think I entirely agree with. The plan was to run Biden, lie about his cancer and dementia, get him back into the White House, and have him immediately step aside so Kamala Harris's reign of terror could begin. I 100% agree. The problem is they, that first debate just tanked it. All while trying to destroy, put Donald J. Trump in jail or take his life. Just making sure we're on the same page here. These people are evil. 110% agree with that. Absolutely nothing to argue with there. I mean, you have the left saying right-wing Twitter is now circulating a conspiracy theory suggesting that Biden may have covered up his cancer. Bro, Morning Joe, the biggest leftoid show on TV, had a quote-unquote expert on this morning that said, oh no, he not only did he have cancer, but he almost certainly had it the entire time he was president. Matt Walsh had a great thread on it. This is the most cynical thing I've ever seen in American politics. It's astounding. Truly, Biden has stage 4 cancer. There's no way in heck they just caught it now. They knew it probably for years and lied to the American people. And then they waited until 2 days before a book comes out about the cover-up of his mental decline so that they could change the subject and quiet all criticism in the name of, quote, compassion for a sick man. The whole thing is so transparent. These people are evil beyond words. If you think an 80-year-old man goes from a clean bill of health to stage 4 cancer in a span of 6 months, then you are too dumb to be taken seriously. You have to have absolute garbage for brains to take any of this at face value, especially from people who have a long track record of Biden's health or of lying about it. The most interesting question is whether or not they were also secretly treating him for cancer the entire time, or if they decided to just simply not treat it and let it take his life because it was the only way to keep it hidden until after, quote, they hoped his re-election. I mean, are there random cases of somebody getting cancer and having it go to stage 4 and metastasize very quickly? Sure. But the level of medical care that the President of the United States of America gets has to be probably second to none. And, the fact that it had gone, quote unquote, undetected until stage 4, you might argue it's possible in a civilian who isn't getting like their regular prostate exams and things like that. But this is a guy that was probably having 1 to 2 of them every single year while he was president, and nobody said anything. I mean, the whole thing is, the whole thing. You see, my mother passed away from stage 4 which was missed until it was stage 4. Again, yes, it's possible. It's possible. All right. I can't say for 100% fact that they all knew about it and that they, covered it up, but it certainly looks that way to me. Here you have Tim Pool. This is the biggest scandal in United States history. A leading oncologist specialist says Joe Biden likely had cancer when he began his presidency in 2021. Dr. Zeke Emanuel told the Morning Joe, George Scarborough, so he told him so on Monday, saying Biden did not develop prostate cancer in the last 100 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency. This is so bonkers to me. Remember, obviously everyone remembers the clip of Biden where he says, hey, this is where me and, this is why I have cancer. This was from 2022. I'm sure everybody's seen this clip by now. A lot of people kind of just said it was dismissed it as a kind of Joe Biden senior moment because he was very clearly having mental degradation. But here he is in 2022 in July.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
He knew in 2022, he very clearly told the truth here. 2 years ago, he admitted that he had cancer, but the Biden regime came out to say, oh, it was just a gaffe. They have been covering up for this for years. Now, what would have been the problem if they had just been honest and said, hey, the president has cancer. Let's turn him into a sympathetic figure, because look, again, everybody has to deal, most people have to deal with cancer touching their life in some way or another. I think most people would have understood that. But that meant he had no chance to run for the presidency in 2024. So then they scrambled when he got sicker and sicker. Remember when Laura Loomer said that he had a health emergency in Vegas? What was that, like 6 months before the election? Remember when everybody called her crazy? I mean, she has a tendency to say some things that are out there. I don't care for her cattiness with other women in the mega space, but she has been right more often than not. I mean, again, Matt Walsh, we need Congress to actually do something. Finally, full investigation, pull every Biden staffer and official into a hearing, put them under oath, Jill Biden too, his doctors, everybody who is involved in this cover-up How deep did it go? And most importantly, who was actually running the country during the past 4 years? I mean, who is running the auto pen? Their plan to engineer the first female president was to push through a cancer-riddled dementia patient, get him reelected by whatever means necessary, let him die, and have her take over. That's 100% the truth. It's 100% the truth, at least in my opinion. I mean, this thing with Biden is not surprising. The cancer thing is a little surprising to me. I would have been more, I guess I would have been less surprised if they had said he had stage whatever dementia. I don't know if they have stages for dementia or not. I would have probably been like, well, yeah, obviously. The prostate cancer, prostate cancer is a horrible, horrible way to go. And it sucks. But it's hard to feel like, okay, we can take Joe Biden out of it. He may have been so dementia riddled that he may not have even known that he was taking part, that there was a cover-up going on. Do you know what I'm saying? He may not have even known. He may not have been aware. I wonder if his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, knew about his cancer. I wonder if Barack Obama knew about his cancer. Or Kamala Harris. They all knew. They all knew. Kamala certainly knew. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. says, what I want to know is, how did Dr. Jill Biden miss stage 5 metastatic cancer? Or is this yet another cover-up? I thought it was stage 4, but I can't be totally sure. Here's a doctor. It is likely that he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer through his entire White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. Here's a urologist that said it is, quote, unheard of for someone with Biden's level of care to not know he had prostate cancer 5 to 10 years ago.
It's very unlikely that someone could get annual checkups and not notice a PSA elevation over the past, but this is what I typically would see in a VA hospital, where a patient hasn't had medical attention in 10 years, presents to an emergency room with bone pain, and then they find that it's metastatic prostate cancer. But in the modern age of medicine, especially
when you're the
fact
president,
that he was a former president, he had intensive, state-of-the-art, care where we can see prostate cancer, 10 years in the past. So this is, it's very unusual to hear that someone has prostate cancer where they're annually being followed up.
Correct. Yes, it could have been missed in any normal person, but not the president of the United States. Trump coming out, Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and family. Sure is a convenient time to tell the world about your cancer when the auto pen controversy is at a fever pitch, when there's a book about to come out that's probably going to name all sorts of names about people that knew, that may even have outed him for having cancer. I mean, this is, again, they effortlessly lie to the public about Biden's health, and it should infuriate you. Never trust these people again. Of course they knew. Just a few months ago, Biden's doctor swore he was totally healthy. Now he has grade 5 terminal prostate cancer with metastasis to the bone. There's no way he didn't know. There is no way they kept this quiet. There are people that knew. If he was in stage 3, 4, 5 cancer, he was almost certainly receiving some level of treatment. They lied to the American people, and I want justice. Leave a like if you want justice too.